business is, it's pretty, I don't know, it's not self-explanatory for people who don't know about it, but basically I'm a managed service provider and a managed security service provider. So MSP/MSSP. And basically what that means is I am the IT department for companies that don't have their own internal IT staff, but there is a caveat to that, because if they do have their own internal IT staff and they're underskilled, which is probably a bad way to say it, but if they're not capable of handling some higher complex projects, or they're overloaded and they can't handle everything, or they need help on projects, stuff like that, I can co-manage with them as well. My typical company, like I said, we manage everything from their workstations and their servers to their cloud setup, whether it be Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. You know, if they have servers in the cloud, if they have physical servers, it doesn't matter. On all their systems and servers, we give them antivirus and what's called EDR, which is endpoint detection response. It helps out with the ransomware and the newer threats, because antivirus isn't enough these days. In most of my plans, we include unlimited remote support, but that is subject to a fair use policy. Basically, what that means is if they're calling us 60 times a day, all of their users, and there's 30 users, and it's just becoming too much, we're going to have to revisit that. And then I also do on-site support and projects as well, whether that's new network build-outs, cabling jobs, cloud migrations, email setup, security remediation, or security assessments, and then remediations after that. I mean, you pretty much name it in IT, I pretty much do it. The only thing I'm not is a web developer. I used to say I wasn't a developer either, but I guess now that I built OptiServe, I am.
You are, yeah. So you have like a 10 computer minimum, right? Like companies.
I typically like to stay in that 10 to 200 range. You know, I can manage larger, but usually once you get to that size, they typically have the staff in place to manage that size network. I don't like to go under 10. I will, like that tanning salon only technically has one computer at their front desk.
Right.
I don't typically do it, but at the same time, I'll do it on one-off situations for specific people. But yeah, I like to stay in that 10 or more range, just because of the fact that, it puts me in a situation where, and I don't like to say it this way, but profit is correct.
Right.
Everything's right. It's worth my time. One or two clients or workstations, one or two or three workstations, how often are they really going to be calling me, and how much could I really build?
Good point. Right.
What am I going to build them? $200, $300 a month, and then they're going to call me once a month for help, and then they're going to resent charging them $300 a month, not realizing that I'm paying for my tooling and all the stuff for their computers, and their antivirus, their EDR, all their network monitoring, and stuff like that, the remote monitoring management, patching. And they're rarely calling me, so it's almost like I'm resenting them. Not, hey, listen, I'll take the money.
Right.
But what am I really doing for them? So it's kind of like it has to be kind of a mutual respect at that point, where at 10 users, they start to experience enough problems where it's worth them paying for somebody to give them that peace of mind that their technology is all taken care of.
Exactly. So what made you start that company? Where'd that come from?
5 years ago, I got into IT, always interested in it, started ripping apart computers and repairing things. And, then I started working for computer repair shops. I mean, this was back in the day, you're talking early 2000s, when that was the most popular thing in the world. Everybody had computers in their house, and everybody was getting boxes and, breaking their computers, or their computers wouldn't boot or whatever. And I started to learn that. And then I moved into networking, and then I worked for one company who was he was a software developer, but he built a software kind of similar to what I'm doing, because I am actually building something for medical. But he built the software for medical practices, where they had the front end scheduling and billing. Scheduling and electronic medical records, EMR records on the front end, which a lot of softwares did have, but nobody had the medical billing piece in the back end. Medisoft is the biggest medical billing software platform in the world, and that's what everyone uses. And nobody moved away from it or integrated with them.
So that's what just sparked your interest.
And then I was supporting the doctors, so I was not only just supporting the software, but I ended up starting to support their systems and their servers. And then I rolled into years later working for an MSP, which is what I am now. Right. And I started to say to myself, I'm like, well, this is the way to go. Not like, hey, that's broken. Can you come here and fix it real quick? And I charge them a quick 50, 100. So it was more of that monthly recurring that thing. But I started to see that model. I got into it. It's very high speed. It's very 7 alarm fire every day, and it's always new. So some people like that, some people don't. But I like that, constant evolving, constant learning, constant seeing new technology when you have so many clients, because not everyone's on the same stack, not everyone's doing the same thing. So, I loved what I did. I did veer away from it for a few years. I went into physical security management, as well as I actually worked physical security. And then I worked for the federal contractor. But when I got done working for the federal contractor, I was just like, you know what? I need to do this for myself. This just makes all the sense in the world. And then I don't have to answer to nobody.
So what's your days look like now? Like, what's your typical day?
Well, the last month has been nonstop coding. But prior to that, and typically, my days are great because of the fact that I control them. And that's not to say that I don't answer to nobody. Now I don't answer to a boss, but I answer to clients. But I'm able to work from anywhere around the world. I get up, I handle my clients if they have any needs, any tickets, any concerns, any problems, obviously any calls throughout the day. I'm able to schedule meetings. I'm able to have flexibility. I'm able to do a project on the side. If I need to go do a wiring job, I go do a wiring job. I don't have to worry about, sitting in that chair all the time. And that's not to say that my clients are not going to get the support that they need. They will. But that's because I have 3 laptops on me at all times. I have my bag on me at all times. I'm able to connect from anywhere around the world, and I'm able to jump in and fix your problems no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing.
So what kind of monkey wrenches do you have thrown at you, like during the day or during the week, or anything you run into?
Computer down and network down, phones down. Any down situation is going to be detrimental to a client, and it could cost them anywhere from thousands to hundreds of thousands a day. And listen, my systems are put in place to be preventative, not reactive, but I can't control outside vendors. I can't control outside companies who have different softwares. I can't control the networks. Let's say, I can control it internally, but let's say Comcast goes down and that's who they use. My recommendation to a company, especially once they get a little bit larger, is always have a fallback. But that also isn't standard across the industry because most people don't want to pay for 2 internet connections, but if things go down, that's the monkey wrenches, because then I have to stop whatever it is that I am doing, and then it's 100% focus on that.
Right.
Like you said, don't get me wrong, that's the client, they pay, they're going to get that attention, but so it happens.
What works really well currently and what's not working real well currently in the business?
Well, is I have a great working relationship with my clients, and I do very well. But what isn't working well is the continued expansion. It's not that I don't have the resources or can't do it. It's just that I know what I can do and what I can't do, and I'm very honest about it. A lot of IT guys are cocky, and a lot of people in general are cocky. Right. And I will say that I am not a salesman. I'm not to say that I'm not a person who can go out and sell and get the job. Obviously,
but that's everything
that I can, but I'm not out there 100% all the time focused on sales, because I'm focused on fixing my clients and being with my clients and generating the revenue that way. But I'm not over here selling and getting thousands of clients and expanding my business to millions of dollars a year. Would I love to do that? Absolutely. But I don't have that expertise. I don't have that pipeline, and I don't have that capacity.
What kind of shifts and trends are you seeing in that industry? What are they going towards? Let's say.
In the past couple of years, I've seen a huge shift into security, which is another reason why. I went to school for that. I got my degree in 2014 for information systems and cybersecurity. But more over the years of the ransomware remediation, the ransomware remediations that I've done, I've seen a lot more companies be hit with ransomware. I've seen a lot more, of a security-based focus on it. That's why I push that around the core of my business. Everybody says, oh, well, you're no different than the next guy that comes in the door and can put software on my computer and log in and fix my printer issue. You're absolutely right. Anybody can fix printer issue.
Right.
But can they secure your network? Can they make sure you have the right tools in place? And can they make sure that your cloud environment and everything else is protected so that you don't get hit with these things, because they're becoming more and more prevalent every single day.
Makes sense. So basically, with your goal currently, you have that, what you do down. I guess expanding is your biggest thing you know, like a bottleneck, right?
Yes.
The sales part of it, trying to spread out there and get more customers.
Yeah,
So
I mean, the
that's
more
your
customers
main.
I have, the better I could be, the bigger I could be, the more people I can hire, the more, you know, money in all of our pockets.
Makes sense. So if you could do like, what would you, in 12 months, if you could go from where you are now to what you want to be in 12 months, what would it be? Like, how do you envision it? Like a couple sales guys, one sales guy, two sales guys?
Maybe 1 to 3 salespeople, maybe 5 engineers, and at least 50 clients that are anywhere between, you know, 1,500 and 10,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue, you know, each.
Makes sense. And then 3 to 5 years from there, what would you want it to go from that? If that happens, what would be the next step?
Sale.
Sell the company?
I mean, yes, obviously continue to grow from there, continue to get more clients, 100, 200, you know, depending on how OptiServe goes, and depending, you know, especially if it's going to expand the way I think it will and the way it's probably going to and what it can do. And, you know, then getting to a point where it'll stretch my time too thin, even though, and I just said this to somebody on the phone, this is what I love to do. And this has always been what I love to do. And this is why I'm in it. And that's what I just said to you. I've been doing this for 20 something years. And, you know, this is why I went into it after leaving the federal contractor, is because this is what I want to do. I don't care how fast paced it is. I don't care how 7-alarm fire it is. This is what I love. But it does become stressful. We do get older. We do slow down. I'm only 37. I'll be 37 in a month. So I'm not saying I'm slow by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, I could potentially be in a situation where there's too many clients. There's too many things going on. I have 30 people working for me. I got OptiServe blowing up, and I can't control it.
Then you can't do it all. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has been saying to me for years, they wish they can clone me, and I wish they can too. But at the end of the day, is it going to turn into a duplicity situation where, yeah. So, you know, but I can't be everywhere at once. I can't, you know, and once I grow to be a certain size, then I don't have that personal touch with clients. Like Tiffany, you know, is hugging me in the tanning salon and you know, giving me free services because I saved her, you know, from
right. The most people won't bother going with one computer, like you said. Like you did it because you know her, but the one computer thing isn't worth the time for anybody with your skill set.
She was the same thing, and she owned 15 tanning salons. We still would probably have that relationship right now, but 5 years from now with 200 clients, I'm not going to be the one sitting there for 4 hours like I was yesterday or 2 weeks ago when their computer was down. I'm sending someone, and I have that personal relationship. And I'm not saying I want to be a mom and pop shop where I have a personal relationship with everybody, but eventually I'm going to become stretched too thin.
Right. You limit yourself to like the big fish. I mean, if the big client comes, you'll fly out there or wherever and talk to them and tell them the plan, and then the team takes over from there, basically. That'd be
I'll have project managers in place. I'll have different levels of support, different engineers, different, you know, who's on help desk, who's on the project team, who's an escalation engineer, and they're just going to be handling the day-to-day, you know?
Right. And then walk us through it. So from the initial contact to the closed deal, how does that work from now? Like from meeting to close?
So initial contact is usually like, you know, typically they're upset with their previous provider, they don't have one, or, you know, something like that. That's the trend I've seen in the industry. It's hard to just walk in and be like, hey, I do IT, come sign up with me. Because if everything's rolling smoothly in their office, that's the last thing on their mind.
Right.
They don't, you know, they're not looking to switch. But regardless, it's the initial meeting. You're finding out, you know, their needs, their wants, their pain points. You're putting a plan together. You're putting a proposal on a quote together. You're finding out all of their data, how many computers they have, what their network looks like, stuff like that. I may have to go on site to get that information. Sometimes the client doesn't know, so it could also roll into on-site visit, doing some discovery, you know, but a preliminary discovery because I'm not their IT providers, so they're not going to provide me with passwords. They're not going to let me in their systems. You know, doing that preliminary computer count, finding out who their email provider is, et cetera, doing some stuff like that. Then, like I said, sending out a proposal. Once payment is secured for the one-time setup and the monthly recurring charge is always billed a month in advance. Then it's, you know, the legwork. You know, it's probably 2 or 3 more meetings. Even before the payment's received to secure it. Sometimes there's some negotiation back and forth. Sometimes they don't want to pay it, or they wonder what this charge is for, or that charge is for. So, you know, and it's kind of really, you know, drilling down with them to say, okay, this is where we finally agree on it. And then, yeah, I mean, once it's launched, then there's that whole it's like a post-launch onboarding. So then it is getting their passwords, getting into their systems, getting their stuff, putting all my tooling on all of their systems, their servers, getting logged into their, let's say they have Microsoft 365, getting admin access. If they have Azure servers or things running in the cloud, I need to get access on that side, any and all of their, stuff going through the discovery, going through that time. And that could be, on a 10 user thing, that could be 30 hours of work from on that post onboarding. The pre-onboarding could have been 30 hours in itself. And, that's the part that people don't realize either. Like, why are you charging an onboarding fee? Because I'm spending 60 hours and I'm also paying for my tooling up front. So
it's a setup fee and then a monthly fee, right?
Correct.
Yes. And then, so I don't know if you have metrics or not. What's the metrics, like how many people come from the first meeting to closing? Is there a percentage, like what it's like 20%, 30%, 40? What do you get into percentages?
If I'm in front of them in the first place, it's typically because they want to use me. And again, that's because they're upset, or because, like I said, I know them.
You get a lot of cold leads, I guess, right?
I don't have that. That's the key there. That is what I'm lacking. That is what I'm trying to build. And like I said, the problem with salespeople, and especially in tech, is, everyone thinks, oh yeah, you pay them a very minimal 30, 40,000 and then they get commission. No, these salespeople want like $200,000 a year plus commission. I know a guy who's been in tech sales for the last 10 years, not just for the MSPs, but he worked for Datto, Kaseya, some of the bigger, larger companies selling to MSPs. He's done, and he worked in a couple cybersecurity companies and startups and stuff like that. I always seen his lifestyle. He drives a, really expensive BMW. He's got a boat. He has a house in Connecticut, a house in Florida. He travels all the time, whatever. But I didn't really know. And I was talking to him the other day. He was like, yeah, he's like, for the past like 7 years, I've been making like 350,000 a year. He's like, if I don't make 350, there's nothing to discuss. And I'm like, I can't bring you on for 350,000. Listen, if you're making me 10 million, 350 all day long.
Because your marketing now is pretty limited, right? It's just basically like word of mouth kind of thing. You don't really do too much marketing. So the return is a problem. That's the marketing. So you'd want to focus on, I guess, larger accounts if you're going to go with the marketing side. Where if you're spending 15,000, you're making like 50.
Yeah, listen, if she came to me with 100 client deal, 100 workstation deal, a couple servers, cloud-based stuff, and it's $25,000 a month in monthly revenue on top of a $25,000 setup fee,
right?
And I gave her $16,500 for that 5 months. I mean, does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it doesn't make sense on a 10 client, or 10 user work, situation. And she couldn't, one, marketing. It's the biggest caveat in the world. It's always in the fine print. Cannot guarantee any ROI or any results. We could get you nothing, but you still have to pay us. Well, that is the marketing.
Yeah, right. That is their mantra, right?
And listen, that's fine. You're protecting yourself, but how do you tell a business owner we can get you nothing, but you got to give us tens of thousands of dollars?
We guarantee nothing. We'll give you tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, that's not good.
I don't got money.
No. What kind of budget? If you had a budget at all, like what would you budget? How would you market? You think? Like what would be the way to do it? Like get a salesperson, do some. What would be the way to go? Online, Facebook marketing. What would be the marketing you think it would work?
Facebook
for your business
is
probably not.
Yeah, it's not.
You're a business guy, and I find that the Facebook thing doesnn't really work for business to business. Business customers, like the tennis salon lady, Facebook would be good for her.
Yes.
Because business customers are good. I find that business to business on Facebook isn't the greatest. You need more like reaching out to people, like businesses actually reaching out to like the CEOs or C-level people at the businesses. Somehow maybe email marketing to them.
Yeah.
Would probably be the way to do it.
An email campaign, a salesman with a book of business, but like I said, he's going to want so much money if he has a book of business because
he thinks. So it's kind of like a 6.5 does nothing. So you got the guy the big book guy wants $1 million, but the guy with no book, he's starting out, and so he's difficult to get to the big guys. So you want to thread the needle where you want to get to the C-level people who can make decisions.
And then if I can get lists, if I can get leads, but that costs a lot of money too. I could put people on the phones, but again, these cold leads are hard.
That's hard, especially if you're not like you're gonna sit there and you gotta spend some time on the phone with these people.
Right, and the issue getting to the decision maker, because the problem is you're gonna get those lists and they're gonna say, oh yeah, then the number 2 such and such salon is
here it is
609. you're going to call and, like, let's say it was Tiffany's place. Yeah, Tiffany works there from time to time, but primarily she has her young 20-year-old girls working behind the counter. Do you think when Bella answers the phone, she's going to give me to Tiffany? No,
a place like that, you probably have a good chance of actually, if you kept calling, to get her. But if you're looking at a big place with like 100 employees, the chances of you going from the receptionist to like the CFO or the CEO, very slim, because all their job is to basically put you into the voicemail no one checks. Anthony calls, all right, leave a voicemail, put you here, and never get a call back. They get past that, very difficult. That's why you kind of need like some kind of warm in, or I mean, we could try it out. I think email marketing might work for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my struggles right now. That's where I don't know what to do and what to potentially pay for, even if I had a budget, because it's like, what is going to work? Am I going to be gate kept at a cold call? Am I going to have emails not be delivered? Am I going to have, or not get to the right people? Am I going to have a sales guy go out there and hit the pavement running? But he might have worked for 10 MSPs before this. So yeah, he has a book of business, but he's already sold for those other MSPs. Is he really now going to be able to go back into those clients and convince them now to switch to me just because he works for me,
Right. And then plus you don't have like a limited budget where you can kind of like just try things out and like you lose like 10 grand. It's a lot of money. You can't just be like throwing 10 grand here, 10 grand here, and then before you know it, you're like, hey, that's so much money. I got nothing for this. I'm still doing your warm leads.
And then am I paying for lists at 300, 500, 1,000 a month that are useless? It's like, which way do I go?
Yeah. So let me see if because I think I help you with the sales side, because I know I'm going to help you with the warm ones we have, the warm leads we have. But I think I can help you get some, and we'll work together because I'm gonna help you with help you with my clients. So we'll work with you on that one.
Awesome.
Anything else you want to add to the folks out watching this about the company? How you make how you're different?
Who's gonna be watching this and what they're gonna think of me?
We'll see how that goes. Because we're hopefully a lot of people watch it, and you get calls from that. That'd be great. That's the idea.
What is your viewership? Where do you post this? Like, what is it?
We have a YouTube podcast that we started, so we're gonna be doing more marketing for that. Okay. So just to start out with people we have like 5 people on there now, so we're gonna keep building that up, and then we're gonna send traffic to that. But more importantly, I'm gonna run this through our system and see how we can help you, like at the least expensive way to get some results. And even if the labor's, we can work on the labor part of it. I don't care about that. That's what I see.
At the end of the day, I'm not afraid to spend money, and I'm not asking you to guarantee me anything either, because again, I know what it is. Yeah. But even if on the onset we could work something out where for 12 months you get a percentage of that contract, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe work something like that out, because eventually when I have my warm leads for you, then we're gonna be working together on. So those I want you to get. So because we'll do other stuff other than your tool to kind of work a deal.
Yeah, because if I'm making 5,000 a month and I give you 10%, you're making 500 a month on every client. Right. You do 10 of them. I'm giving you $5,000 a month. Just because you sent them to me. You don't have to do any work above and beyond you sent them to me.
Yeah.
And then I always cap it at 12 months. I never like to tail life.
That's a smart thing to do. Unless they upgrade, maybe. If they start like a low one for 12 months and they go to another level, maybe, and the salesperson's like integrated in it, the referral, then it makes sense to keep it going. But you're right. You can't it can't be forever. Like 10 years, they pay 10%.
With lifetime commission, right? Exactly.
You can't do that unless they put some more effort in after the 12 months is up. Maybe if they help you renew the contract, that would be something. That if we had salespeople do that, or even like not salespeople, because I have people who I know that could do like referral stuff, that have like business contacts.
Yeah.
So those people, I'll reach out to those too, because they have like a ton of they work in the business to business. So those guys, if you do a 12-month contract, and then after 12 months they have to go back and like get you back in or help you renew it.
Even with the phones or something like that, as long as it's ongoing. But yeah, I just can't bleed the company. But at the same time, and that also stops their incentive to sell, because if they sell me 50 people within the first 12 months and they figure I'm getting a lifetime commission, now I'm making $25,000 a month, I could just stop.
I know it's not the same thing, but I have a guy who does like business to business energy sales, like the gas and electric, and he has guys that have like business connections. Just go in there and they may pretty much sell it. He gives them the contract, they have them sign it, and then every year they have to go and renew it, or the commission ends. So if they don't renew it, then or they do 12 months like 24 months or 36 months, and then that's
Yeah.
the long that they get paid for that period of time. But then they have to go back and like renew it. It's them. I don't know that same model would work with you or not. I guess it might.
It potentially would, but usually once they're locked in and they're happy, they're not going anywhere. So there's really not much of a renewal thing. Now, if they're an unhappy client and they got to go over there and be like, hey, re-sign with us, we're going to fix the problems. But I don't ever anticipate being in that situation. I don't have it.
So it's not like yours isn't really a contract thing. I mean, they'll renew, but it's not like energy. We have to go there and say, listen, here's the new rates and here's what it looks like. And
worst case scenario, they'll be getting better rates. Better rates meaning they'll be upgrading and going to the next plan or signing on more computers and stuff like that. But typically, they wouldn't be downgrading in any sense of the word.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I helped her out with the monthly price, and then she told me she's in a group with a bunch of other tanning salons, so I might get 5 more tanning salons out of it. And the price.
Right. That'd be the goal.
Exactly. All right, perfect. I love it.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Anthony.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming back on.
No problem. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk later.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.